Professor Henrique, I think we
Okay.
are live.
Okay. Hello. First time of all, on behalf of Brazilian Anatomy Society and the Progress Organizing Committee, I would like to thank you very much for make some your time available with us. It's a great pleasure to welcome you for our Congress. Welcome, Kees. I also apologize to you too and those who assist us because my English is not so best, but I will try my best way. Okay.
Okay.
So, Professor,
Okay.
may
Here,
introduce ourselves as well. So first of all, Professor Kees, as Professor Henrique was saying, it's a very pleasure to us to have you here with us. So thank you very much for your promptly reply and your availability to have this time with the Brazilian community that likes a lot of your work and your person. We are here to discuss about the recent published that your group just prepared, and about the amazing discovery about the glands. So we are really excited to hear about that discover, and not just this, but to hear from you for the next research that you are preparing.
Yeah, thank you. First, I want to introduce myself also. My name is Kees Jong, and I was an anatomy teacher in the University of Amsterdam, medical school for 40 years. This discovery was made just before I retired there. And after my retirement, I went to China to be a visiting professor at the Zhejiang University in Hangzhou. But now I'm in my house in Amsterdam, and I was really amazed about the excitement of our discovery when it was published last week.
Yeah. I always say that having friends is the biggest reward we can have. And I had an opportunity to meet Kees about 10 years ago during a Plus Nation conference in Toledo. Rafael,
Yes.
I don't know if you...
In Murcia.
Yeah. Okay. You have 2 years after that. And after that, we met with Kees 6 times more in course in USA, in Murcia, in Spain. And here in Brazil, you have been here, in 2050. I 15.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. I still remember it was blazing hot.
Yeah.
2015, I believe so.
Yeah. 15, yeah. And we usually communicate quickly through the social media, and I see that this article that Kees and among with another authors, and I don't think twice to invite him to talk a little more about this work.
Yeah.
And the request that is prompted response, and so I thank you so much about this. This opportunity could be better, and the brilliant in the Brazilian Congress of Anatomy and the Head and Neck with this lecture.
It's very amazing that it is just in this moment. But I'm very happy to contribute.
Yeah. So I think I have to thank you so much to participate in our Congress. Okay, let's go.
This
we have Kees. We live in a world that where the current is pretty viral and very quickly transmit to million people. And unfortunately, most people don't read the news and create fake news. Here in Brazil, people have commented a lot about of your study, saying that that a group of Dutch Netherlands, Netherlands research had discovered a new organ in human anatomy. I would like to explain a little about of the story of this study, because when I reading this research, it seems to me that the objective of research group was something else, but by a chance, they observed this anatomical structure. Am I right about this?
Yeah, that's quite right. It started with a urologist from the Rotterdam Cancer Institute. He used a PET-CT scan to diagnose people having metastasis of prostate cancer or not. And for this, he used PSMA ligand to inject, and then made the PET-CT scan, and when there was a prostate cancer metastasis, it just lighted up. But when he examined the whole body PET-CT scan, he always saw that the salivary glands in the head and neck region also came up as a positive marker. So he was very well able to see the parotid gland and the submandibulary gland and the sublingual gland. Parotid gland and submandibulary gland were more or less identical in how it showed up, and the sublingual gland was a little cloudy. What he also saw was that the lacrimal gland in the orbit also came up, but he saw also two spots somewhere behind the mouth that were also coming up, and they came up in every patient. And well, it's explainable that when you look for prostate gland tissue, that other glandular tissue is also marking. So he could accept to see the lacrimal gland and the parotid gland and all the major salivary glands, but he didn't know what was this next spot behind the mouth. So he asked the head and neck surgeon, it was Matthijs Valstar, he was the first author of this article. He was at that moment a head and neck surgeon in training, so he was not finished his training. Matthijs, do you know any glandular tissue? And Matthijs said, no, I haven't seen this before. Can you do some investigation on this? Well, Matthijs said, I can't do, but I will ask people from the anatomy department. Maybe they say, oh, yes, that's clear. He came to our department. The head of the department asked me, you are the head and neck specialist in our department. Can you do this? So this is the way I came in contact with this investigation. But in fact, we were looking for something we didn't know what was what. Maybe it was prostate gland tissue there. We don't know. The first thing we did was localizing where it was exactly found, and it proved to be in the region of the opening of the Eustachian tube and a little below. And then we went to our anatomical specimen, and we had a head that was cut in two, and we can look from the side, from the medial side into this pharyngeal wall. And yeah, there was a Eustachian tube, but we couldn't see anything that was saying, oh, this is glandular tissue. And then we took some small biopsies, and this was formalin fixed tissue. And we gave this to histology people, and they made us nice microscopic slices, and we found signs that there was indeed glandular tissue. But it could be isolated.
It was a little bit similar to a sublingual gland, yeah.
No, it was more spreaded because we didn't take the samples from the right place. We took the samples from the oropharyngeal wall and not the nasal pharyngeal wall. And then we wanted to consider, is this also the glandular tissue that is positive on the PET-CT scan? But this tissue was not suitable for this, so we took fresh frozen head, and we removed the whole mucosa and submucosa from this area. So we cut it from the base of the skull alongside the skeleton down to the throat, and then we have it put in histology slices. I must thank our technicians for this because it was a hell of a job. They made one slice with hebitoxylin eosine coloration and one slice with PSMA coloration, and then the third slice again with HE coloration, and so on. So it was very labor intensive. And then we made the coloration both for hebitoxylin eosine and for PMSA. And this here it was proven that this gland was indeed the one we saw on the PET-CT scan. But this head was a male specimen, and we wanted to know, is it also available in female? So we did the same procedure again, but now with a female half head, and it was identical.
Yeah, not have difference in male or female?
What?
Not have difference in male or female?
No, there was no difference in male or female.
You got one specimen male and one specimen female.
Yeah.
So, do you want to share? We have here the figures. Do you want? We can share to you if you wish.
The figure 2 is indicating where the glandular tissue is located, because using this histology slices, one of my colleagues is very specialized in making three-dimensional reconstructions, and she made a three-dimensional reconstruction of this glandular tissue, and it is shown in figure 2C.
2C. If you wish, we can share to you, okay?
Yeah, okay.
So, very nice.
Yeah. And here you can see where the glandular tissue is located and what is the highest density. The highest density is in the top of the torus tubarius. So it is definitely different from normal submucosal glands, because these submucosal glands don't show up with PSMA. So we were thinking, what is this? Is this just an amount of submucosal glands? No, because it is selectively coloring with PSMA, and the other submucosal glands don't color with this. So we think we are looking at salivary glands that was never described before. We also investigated a large group of people who were scanned with prostate cancer or urethral cancer, and there was one female, and this female also had a positive picture for this so-called extra salivary gland. And then we started to look, is it like the sublingual gland or the submandibular gland, or like the parotid gland? And it was more like the sublingual gland. And then we also made a control staining with amylase to look whether it is mucous or serous gland. And this was amylase negative, just like the sublingual gland. So we thought it was a real extra salivary gland. But what is the implication of this? Well, when we look where it is located, and this can be seen in figure 1, all the four windows, it is located in both the nasopharyngeal wall as well as the oropharyngeal wall. What is its function? Well, we don't know because we are not physiologists, but we can imagine that it helps to swallow the food, make the food more wet, and it's easier to swallow it. And then Matthijs, the first author of this article, contacted a radiotherapist, and he showed him the article that we have been writing. And this radiotherapist said, well, maybe we have something that is clinical relevant, because when we apply radiotherapy to this region, we always try to spare the major salivary glands. But nevertheless, a lot of patients, when they are treated with radiotherapy, radiation, they get a dry mouth after half a year or 1 year. So maybe this gland is involved in having a wet mouth and easy swallowing. And then he made a retrospective study of patients who were treated with radiotherapy, looked where this radiotherapy had hit the head, and it was obviously that the region of these glands was never spared. So now we think that it can be the benefit of many patients with head and neck cancer that receive radiotherapy to try to avoid this gland and improve the quality of life after their therapy. So it was quite by accident that we found this gland, this organ, And you can, when you look at this picture, you can see that the aspect of this gland is a little cloudy. It's not as clear as the parotid gland or the submandibular gland. And it also has the same aspect as the lacrimal gland that you can see in number A, just on top of the picture. It was completely by accident that we found it, but we think it has quite a big implication for people who get radiotherapy. But then the biggest problem came. We wanted to have this article published, and there was no magazine that wanted to publish this article. Because we finished this publication already 4 years ago, and nobody wanted to publish it because they said, well, everything in anatomy has been discovered, so why do you think that you can discover a new lacrimal gland or a new salivary gland? It's rubbish. Matthijs came to Brazil, to the International Federation of Head and Neck Cancer Surgery 2 years ago in September, and he was invited to present this paper in the Congress that was held in Rio de Janeiro in September 2018. But it took us a very long time to get it published until last week. And now everybody is saying, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah. So, Dr. Kees, let me have a question, if it's possible. Do you believe the main reason that you were able to discover that new gland, it was the PSMA mark? Do you believe that one?
Again, I didn't hear it clear.
Do you believe that no one else has discovered that one before? It was the PSMA mark that you and your colleague has used.
No, this marking was the reason we went looking for it, and the reason why it was never described is rather simple, because this gland doesn't have a capsule.
Okay.
It is just a flat gland in the submucosa. It's spread like a hand of rice that you drop on the floor, and every grain of rice has its own duct coming out in the pharyngeal lumen. It's not like the parotid gland that has only one duct. That is a structure everybody can see. But here you have to look at single acini. It's only an agglomeration of 100 cells that form one part of this gland. When you look at these pictures, it's very clear.
Okay.
It's not a solid organ like a liver or a parotid gland, or it doesn't have a capsule. It's spread.
Okay, they are a kind of minor glands, yeah?
Yeah, they are, but it's the same as the sublingual gland. That's also agglomeration of minor glands.
Okay, they have a spread localization. Oh, okay, go there, Henrique.
No, only because the people send me the questions, and I will put these questions here, and we can discuss about it. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, go there.
Someone that of these questions have already been partially answered. So if you can complete your explanation, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay. Talking about Rafael say now, someone, let me see here the question.
Oh, he's here in our chat.
Okay. The question is, in the oral cavity, we have 1,000 of smaller salivary glands.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this structure be similar?
Yes and no. The structure is similar, but the function is different because these small glands, 1,000 or even more, are not PSMA positive.
Okay.
And they are amylase positive, and this gland is not amylase.
Not amylase. Okay.
So in my opinion, we have two kinds of salivary glands. It's the parotid and the submandibular glands that are amylase positive, and also the numerous small glands. They're all the same. They produce a watery kind of saliva, and we have this new gland, the tubarial gland, and the sublingual gland that produce amylase negative saliva, and that is more mucus-like.
Yeah. Another question talking about this. Why can't these glands be mucous glands?
Well, when we look at the gland, is it producing amylase or not? The serous glands produce amylase, the mucous glands don't produce amylase.
Okay. Another question, you told about this for us in a few minutes, but I just reading the question here. If all of the major salivary glands have a duct, would a single duct be needed to be considered just a gland?
No, because we also think that the sublingual gland is a major salivary gland, and it also has multiple ducts.
Okay.
So when we accept the sublingual gland as a salivary gland, this is also a salivary gland.
Okay.
In this aspect.
Okay. Do you work amount of time with embryology? Yeah. And have a very good book and an app to 3D embryology. Yeah.
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 We didn't do the salivary glands there.
Yeah. And one question talking about this. What are embryological and anatomical characteristics of this tissue?
Well, when we look in the human embryo, we can see the submandibular gland first time at about 50 days of embryo development. It's Carnegie stage 22. And for our three-dimensional atlas, we only made a reconstruction until Carnegie stage 23. Unfortunately, when we made this atlas, we didn't recognize the salivary gland. We overlooked it because it's very tiny. It's just starting to develop. So we have to go back again to our histology slices. And this morning I looked at Carnegie stage 23, 22, and 21. And I couldn't find, but I was looking very fast, I couldn't find the parotid gland. I only could find a sign of the submandibular gland, and also there was no sign of the sublingual gland. So we need to go to older development stages, so more or less fetus material. But that is for next Monday. We go back to to the university and start a new project.
Yeah, a new version.
Yes.
Another question here is do you consider that this would be a new organ or something that I was already know, but with a new technology, it was possible to observe the new characteristics?
Before 2015, it was never described. So it is really new.
Okay.
But there is always a discussion about what is an organ. Is this an organ or is it just tissue? When you say an organ is a collection of different tissues, this is an organ because it has glandular tissue and it has stroma in between.
Okay. In the article, in the discussion part, you're talking about this, yeah?
Yeah.
Why is a new organ? Let me see another one. Are these glands not affected by radiotherapy?
We think they are affected by radiotherapy,
Yeah,
but
because sometimes, excuse me, sorry.
yeah, when you look at this picture, you can see how far the radiotherapy is coming, and we think that when you don't affect the parotid, sublingual, and submandibular gland in radiotherapy, but you do affect this, this can be the cause of the impaired swallowing and the dry mouth. But
Yeah,
we still need to
usually, because usually the patients that have a radiotherapy develop a cherostomy and something like this, and these glands is maintain the function.
Well, what we want to do, but that is the next setup, is to call back survivors of the radiotherapy and give them PSMA PET CT scan after 1 year and 2 years and 3 years, and then look how these glands are coming up in this PET CT scan. But that's the next project also.
Okay.
And what we also want to do is do some comparative anatomy. Is this gland also visible in rat, mouse, chicken, any other animal? And we have indication that it is there in normal laboratory mouse specimen, but we are not sure. We are starting to investigate this also next week.
I was preparing this question to you. Thank you so much in advance. Yeah, because I would like to know about the further studies and any evolutionary study that you are preparing.
Well, there's one thing when we made the three-dimensional embryology atlas, we also try to compare between mouse, chicken, and human embryos because they have a different speed of development. Sometimes chicken are far before humans, and sometimes humans are far before chicken or mouse. One of the organs that this student was looking at was the salivary gland. And she found a lot of salivary glands in the mouth of chicken. And then she asked the veterinarian anatomist, can we compare this with the salivary gland in human? And he said, oh no, chicken have far more salivary glands. So we also want to make a map of the salivary glands in chicken now.
Perfect. Perfect. Another question here is, what would be the need for the salivary secretion in the nasopharynx region?
What will be?
What would be need? What's the function to have a salivary gland in the nasopharynx?
Oh, well, we think it's not especially the nasopharynx that has to receive this kind of mucus saliva, but when in a normal human being this gland is active, the saliva will drip down in the throat and will help the swallowing of food. So we think that the other salivary glands are more for chewing and mixing up the food and make it semi-fluid, and this salivary gland could have as a main function to help the food while swallowing going down.
Okay.
And this will also explain the problems with swallowing when this gland is impaired.
Okay. Another question here. You told about this, but I want to confirm this. Did you use a fresh frozen cadaver, yeah, for a study?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the formalin fixed cadaver cannot be used for the PSMA coloration. So we used the fresh frozen, and we know that it was only dyed 8 hours before it was frozen. So it was really fresh.
Okay. It's very better that to observe too, yeah.
Yes.
And here the last question that the people sent. What the change with this discovery will proportionate to us?
What will
the change that this discovery, the new organ, know this new organ, what this change in our life or in our
the main change for everyday patients will be that they will receive a better therapy for head and neck cancer, because the more we know, the better we can treat them. But for young anatomists, I think the major lesson is only believe your own eyes and don't believe everything that is written, because maybe everything that is written is true, but not all the truth is written. There are many undiscovered parts in our body that can be studied. The only thing is you have to have an open mind and don't say, oh, this can't be true because it's not written in the book.
Exactly, Professor Kees.
I always say Gray's Anatomy is a very good book, but nobody can guarantee me that Gray's Anatomy is the final book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
It is
of course,
just as complete as possible, but it is not complete.
Yeah,
exactly. And
what are the next steps to take from this research?
Next steps are quite a lot. First, we want to do retrospective, again, PET-CT scan on patients that are still alive and received radiotherapy. Maybe this gland is gone in these patients, and then we know for sure that xerostomia can be linked to this gland or the dysfunction of this gland. we want to do further investigation in the development of salivary glands. When is it first showing up? And for now, we can already say that the definition of embryology is also in discussion, because at the end of the embryological period, we hardly see any salivary glands. So when you say in the embryological period, we see that organs are made, and in the fetal period, they have to grow and to ripe. This is not true. At least the border between fetal and embryological period is not as sharp. It's a gray area. For some organs, the fetal period becomes much more early than for other organs. And what we also want to do, that's the last part, is to look in several mammals and also birds about what can we see in salivary glands, and maybe we can also do the PSMA coloration on them and see if there is a big difference between mucous and serous glands. So I may be retired, but
Go back to the work.
No, it was work.
Retirement is a very relative thing.
Yeah.
It's only depending on who is paying your salary, the university or the retirement company.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, sure. And do you have any spec for to study the innervation of that glands?
Well, we sure are interested in this, but it's not our first
goal.
objective,
Yeah.
because when we look where it is located, we know that the 9th and the 10th cranial nerve has very tiny fibers there, but it's impossible to determine this is a vagus nerve fiber or a glossopharyngeal nerve fiber. So it's not our main concern now. What we can do is look, is it more active or less active when you stimulate or you block the parasympathetic or the sympathetic nerve system. But that is something for next year, not this year.
Yeah.
Also, I'm an anatomist, not a physiologist.
Nice.
Rafael, do you have more questions?
No questions more. So,
Okay.
Oh,
So, Kees, we have no words to thank you to
Oh.
your participation here in this Congress. It's always a great pleasure to us to talking, and the only thing that I missed is the physical contact that we don't
Yeah.
have here. It was a opportunity to come to Brazil and talk more about this in another Congress.
Professor
And
Henrique, I was telling him before you start with us that he is invited to be here in 2022 in your
Yeah.
Congress. Yeah,
in Maceió.
so it will be a pleasure.
Oh no! Keep me informed. I would be happy to come, because I was very happy when I was in in Brazil for the Plastination Conference. I would definitely like to come back.
Yeah, in Victoria, that Atelson was the president. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told Rafael. I still remember that when I went there, people there said, "Oh, it's cold. It's winter." It was in July. It was 29 degrees, and the sea water was 28 degrees.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I invited the doorman of the hotel who said, "You cannot swim, you cannot swim. It's very cold. You come to my country, then I show you what is cold."
Dimitri, Dimitri, it was
Yeah,
another friend of
Use
us.
it to
Yeah,
swim.
it's
Yeah,
from Russia,
every
and,
morning.
yeah,
and here and his friend swim in the beach
every morning.
every
Every
morning,
morning.
and the water is cold. No, it's hot. Cold in my
Yeah,
room.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
really amazing.
yeah.
And
Because our winter is very warm for you.
yeah,
Yeah,
In the northwest, where is Maceió, it's hot than Vitoria, and
oh,
so you prepare to have a warm time here.
okay, that would be great. As long as I know, I bring many clean shirts because in Victoria
Yeah,
I was sweating like hell.
perfect,
so
my friend.
so
It's a great pleasure, and I only have to thank you about this time. Uh, the all the people who are involved in this process, to the guys that work in backstage. I have to thank you too,
Okay,
and very good moments to spend with you, and be
yeah,
safe. And I hope that we have a meeting in Pucon that will be
I hope to be there. Yes.
yeah, uh, uh, unfortunately, about this COVID epidemic, it was not possible, but I think that will be in the next
Well,
year.
yeah, the next year in July it will be scheduled again, and
Yeah,
I really hope to arrive in Pucon.
yeah,
Would be
yeah.
it was a
very
great
great.
place too.
Yeah, Professor
Okay.
Kees, once again, many thanks for your prompt reply and your
Well,
disponibility to be here with us. And congrats about your recent paper. And it was a pleasure to have this time with you guys.
okay. It was a pleasure for me to explain to you all the things we did, and to be with you only for this short period of time. But I wish you and all the people from the Congress a very good Congress. It will be tonight, I think.
Yeah, uh, this this lecture will be edited and put a subtitle to the people to can possibly to read. Uh, Nobody, somebody don't speak in English and understand other things, and the guys there will be put a subtitle
Oh, that's great.
to all the things, all the people can read
Oh,
and participate,
yeah.
and
So
will
the,
be
either
the
they can hear or they can read. So,
yeah,
I,
Yeah,
I want you
yeah,
to thank these people because it's a great job they do.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
we like Professor Henrique said, we have several good students with us here that were working in the backstage, and they are preparing some things, even by a few minutes, like they did few minutes ago, preparing a presentation to you here. They are very good students.
Yeah. Uh, I was already amazed when I was in Vitoria, the amount of good and hardworking students you have in Brazil.
Yeah,
I still have contact with some of them in Facebook.
yeah.
very nice, very
Yeah,
nice.
it was really amazing for me.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh, Is if someone have a question or like to contact you, how can contact you?
you can give them my email address as long
Okay.
as they write in English and not in Portuguese. Because
Okay.
My Portuguese is even worse than my Chinese. My Chinese is only
But
this big.
But you are a word citizen.
Yeah, but that's only with the help of Google Translate.
Yeah, sometimes you have to help it. Okay, thank you so
Okay,
much,
well,
and it's very good to spend this time with you.
it was my pleasure.
Thank you for all, and we'll finish now.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, welcome. Was really happy to be with you.
I'm very happy too.
Okay.